the model I have been trying to develop is to systematically study a computation system that construct and operate the universe as its processing output. Yeah, I want to find out how it's originated, what's the fundamental structure and composition, what's the nature, property of this computer, and what is the dynamic, and what are the application of this computer. Yeah. You can probably guess from the name that it's going to be a metaphysical model. So I call it Metacomputics. Philosophically, the proposed model is based on Platonism. Yeah. According to Plato, physical existence is only a poor copy of an ideal world. We call it Platonic realm. So, for example, I have an apple here, a physical apple. Actually, in the Platonic realm, there is ideal apple, which is a perfect apple, which abstract without detail, but it's a perfect. Yeah, we have different dogs in the physical form. In the ideal Platonic realm, we actually have an ideal dog, which is a perfect dog. Yeah, so as they say, as above, so below. So with the physical existence, there is always a mirrored Platonic existence, which are more real. So that's the Platonic idea. Apply the same principle. I want to postulate that because we have a physical computer made of silicon, we ought to have a Platonic computer also in the Platonic realm, which is more perfect, more powerful. Before we produce a computer in Platonic realm, we want to actually to understand what is computation. Yeah. Computation is actually very simple. Yeah. In essence, it's actually basically it's answering a very simple question. Yeah. So what is the question?
To be or not to be, that is the question.
So actually, it's a binary question, the computer trying to pick, and yes or no, 0 or 1, to be or not to be. So that's what computer does actually. All it does is actually a choose from a binary states, one of the binary states, to be or not to be. Yeah, so that's the essence of the computation. So you have input, which is binary, basically is on and off switch. And you have output, which is also binary, on and off. In this case, is a bulb. So input is a binary state, yes and no. Output is also yes, no, a binary two states. As simple as this. Yeah. And the choice of to be or not to be is actually dependent on a set of rules. We call it a program. Yeah. With sophisticated programming, we can actually develop computation to deal with very complex things. Yeah. At the beginning, the computer can only handle numbers. And with more and more sophisticated programming, we are beginning to able to handle text, image, and sound, and nowadays videos, multimedia. Yeah. Although it can do marvelous things, in essence, it's only two states. It's a switch. Yeah, so please remember that. It's also worth remembering that the switch does not have to be a physical one. Okay, to answer a question, a binary question, you don't have to have a machine. Yeah, you actually just need a binary answer. Yeah, so in this case, we use information to build a switch. Yeah, we define a metacomputics, a metaphysical binary using consciousness. Yeah, we define manifested consciousness as on. We can sort of simplify with one. We define unmanifested consciousness as off. Yeah, call it zero. So with this, we can actually build a switch using consciousness. I'll come back to the definition of consciousness in a minute. Yeah, but so far we can tell we can use consciousness, different states of consciousness, to give a binary information, which we can use to build a switch, on-off switch. Yeah. With the on and off, we have binary states, and those binary states, we can also use it not only to build a computer, which is a switch, we can use it to build a database. We call it the metadata. A database is basically a strings of zeros, ones. We can also build a meta program, which is also composed of zeros, ones in machine language. Yeah. So with those available, we can actually build a model like this. Yeah. And it contains several layers. And initially, the consciousness manifests itself into existence. Yeah. So from nothingness into something. Yeah. Then we build the binary switch, which we have just demonstrated in the previous slides. And with the binary states, we have zeros, ones. With zeros, ones, we can build the three components of the computation system. So we have a data, we have a processor, we have a program. So we have a computation system now. And the processing output of this computation is the universe. So this is the basic concept of this Metacomputics model. Let's come back to the consciousness. What is consciousness? Different people use consciousness meaning different things, but here I think we need to make a proper definition. So the consciousness actually is non-dual. So we cannot actually describe it. Yeah. To describe something, you need to have a subject, an object to be described. But consciousness itself is actually non-dual. Therefore, you cannot describe it. You cannot even comprehend it. So we normally describe consciousness negatively because we cannot describe it. So we cannot say what it is. Therefore, we normally say what it is not. For example, it's not timeless, it's not dimensionless, formless, contentless, boundless, no thing. So we describe it negatively. So because we cannot describe it positively, because it's a non-dual. However, because I want to use consciousness as a base for building a model, I have to define it somehow. So I gave it a working definition. So in this model, we define consciousness as the potential power to conceive, to perceive, and to be self-aware. It is abstract power which have creativity which is able to experience and which has identity I. Yeah. So based on this definition, we can build this model. Yeah. And in essence, consciousness digitalize self, so it becomes computable, i.e., it has process made of metaphysical on and off switch. It has a database made of strings of zeros, ones, and it has a program pack also made of zeros, ones. The metaphysical computer sits in Platonic realm, and its processing output is the phenomenological physical universe, which is diversity. Yeah. So we go through stages. We have nothingness into something. We have unity, and we produce polarity. We have a duality. We produce those three components. We have trinity, and output of this computation system, we produce diversity of the physical world. Yeah. So let us summarize this model. Basically, we presume that there is the existence of operating computer in the Platonic realm. The Platonic computer is made by, of, with, from consciousness, i.e. the consciousness hardware as well as software of the Platonic computer. We define consciousness as power to conceive, to perceive, and to be self-aware. And it is the most fundamental and irreducible existence. Space and its contents in the multiverse arise from consciousness by computational processing of Platonic computer. So this is basically the skeleton of this model. Further detail can be found in a paper published in the philosophical journal. It's American Philosophical Association journal. And there's more details to describe this, this model.